For serious meditators, understanding the Patimokkha, the monastic code of discipline, is valuable in many ways. The Buddha emphasized that sila, virtue, is the foundation of samadhi, concentration, and panya, wisdom. While lay practitioners do not follow the full monastic code, learning about it can deepen their practice, for sure. First, the Patimokkha provides the ethical foundation for meditation. Mental purity arises only when one lives virtuously, free from remorse or guilt, which allows for deeper concentration. By understanding monastic discipline, lay meditators can refine their own moral conduct, avoiding behaviors that create agitation and hinder mindfulness. Second, many meditators engage with monastics, attend retreats, or stay in monasteries. Awareness of the Patimokkha helps them respect monastic customs, interact appropriately, and support the Sangha in accordance with the Dharma. This fosters harmony and mutual respect in the practice community. Additionally, the Patimokkha emphasizes simplicity and renunciation, which are crucial for deep meditation. By studying it, meditators gain insight into the Buddha's emphasis on detachment from sensual pleasures, material possessions, and worldly distractions, elements that can obstruct meditative progress. Finally, learning the Patimokkha connects practitioners with the Buddha's original teachings. The discipline laid out in this code has been preserved since the Buddha's time, offering meditators a direct link to his guidance on moral restraint and inner purification. While not all meditators must adopt monastic discipline, awareness of the Patimokkha enhances ethical clarity, supports deeper meditation, and strengthens one's connection to the path of liberation. Patimokkha contains 227 precepts. These 227 rules are grouped into several categories, according to the type of fault, the way of purification, and degree of seriousness. They are the 4 Parajikas, the 13 Samgadisesas, the 2 Aniyattas, the 30 Nisagiyas, the 92 Pachitiyas, the 4 Patidesaniyas, and the Dukkata offenses. Now, let's take a deep dive into all 227 Patimokkha rules followed by bhikkhus. The 4 Parajikas. The Parajikas are the most serious offenses in the Vinaya. Committing a Parajika results in immediate and irreversible expulsion from the Bhikkhu Sangha. A bhikkhu who commits one of these faults loses his monastic status for life, even if he does not formally disrobe or if his transgression remains unknown to others. The first Parajika is about sexual intercourse. A bhikkhu must not engage in any form of sexual activity. If he places his sexual organ into the sexual organ, rectal area, or mouth of another person, whether male or female, or even an animal or a corpse, he is automatically expelled from the Sangha. It doesn't matter if it happens through clothing, with a condom, or even if he feels nothing due to a lack of sensation. The rule is absolute. The second Parajika is stealing. If a bhikkhu takes someone else's possessions with an intention to steal, and the value of the stolen item is at least a quarter of the currency used in the Buddha's time, that's about €10 or $9, he is immediately disqualified from being a bhikkhu. Even taking something as small as a single hair, if done with the intention of theft, is a violation. If he instructs someone else to steal for him, that's the same. If a group of bhikkhus conspires together and only one of them physically takes the object, they all commit the offense. And it's not just about obvious theft. If a bhikkhu smuggles items across customs, lies to avoid paying taxes, or even sets an animal free without the owner's consent, he is guilty of this offense. The third parajika is killing. A bhikkhu must not intentionally take the life of a human being. This includes direct murder, of course, but also more indirect actions. If a bhikkhu hands a weapon to someone who wants to die, knowing they'll use it to kill themselves, he commits this offense. If he convinces a sick person that death would be better and they stop taking their medicine or food and die as a result, that's also a violation. If he tells a woman to have an abortion and she does, or if he provides her with medication that ends the pregnancy, he has broken this rule. Even requesting someone else to kill another person, whether out of anger, convenience, or even compassion, counts as a violation. And if a bhikkhu commits suicide, he dies not as a monk, but as a layperson. The fourth parajika is making false claims about spiritual attainments. If a bhikkhu knowingly and intentionally lies about having reached a stage of enlightenment, attained jhana, or developed psychic powers, he is expelled from the Sangha. If he claims to see past lives, or to perceive beings in other realms, or to have completely eradicated desire, when he knows it isn't true, he commits this offense. But if the person he speaks to doesn't understand what he means, then it doesn't count. These four offenses are absolute. There is no way to undo them, no way to be reinstated. If a bhikkhu breaks any of these rules, he is no longer a bhikkhu, whether he admits it or not. Next, the 13 Samga decesses. These faults are serious. When one of them is committed, it entails a long and complicated procedure leading, in a first stage, to a solemn acknowledgement of such a fault in the presence of 4 bhikkhus. Afterwards, the faulty bhikkhu will be subject to 13 constraints lasting as much as the period during which his fault was not revealed, with 6 additional days. Among these constraints, the bhikkhu will have to remain apart from the other members of the Sangha at night. He won't be allowed to leave the monastery alone. He will have to declare his fault to all the bhikkhus whom he sees and hears, and he will even have to honor the bhikkhus who are newer than him by refusing all honor from them. By the end of this purging period, a minimum of 20 bhikkhus must meet around the faulty bhikkhu so as to reaccept him in the community. This reintegration is done by orally stating the specific formulas. Samga Decessa 1. Not to deliberately emit sperm. If a bhikkhu masturbates himself or gets someone else to masturbate him until the emission of sperm, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. A bhikkhu must not deliberately cherish his sex with the hand, neither doing so by using an instrument nor making it move in the air. If the sperm, even in a tiny quantity, spreads from its original spot to the testicles, this bhikkhu commits the Samga Decessa 1. However, sperm released during a dream entails no fault. Samga Decessa 2. Not to touch a woman. If, with a lustful desire, a bhikkhu touches a woman, even a newborn, or her uncut hair, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Accidental contact is not an offense, but if a woman touches a bhikkhu and he takes pleasure in it, even briefly, he immediately commits Samga Dosesa 2. Samga Dosesa 3. Not to have an ill-mannered conversation with a woman. If, with a lustful state of mind, a bhikkhu utters some ill-mannered speech regarding copulation or sodomy, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 4. Not to propose sexual intercourse to a woman. If, with a lustful state of mind, a bhikkhu indecently proposes to a woman to copulate with him or another person, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 5. Not to unite couples. If a bhikkhu plans encounters between men and women with the intention to unite them, or if he arranges encounters between prostitutes and interested people, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 6. Not to build a housing exceeding 2.7 meters by 1.6 meters without the agreement of the Sangha, harming living beings, or failing to provide enough space to turn around it. The housing should not be in places inhabited by animals, cultivated lands, prison compounds, cemeteries, places where alcohol is sold, slaughterhouses, junctions, or crossroads. Living in a large cave is permitted. Samga Dosesa 7. Not to build a monastery without the approval of the Sangha, harming living beings, or failing to allow movement around it. The bhikkhu must show the planned location to the Sangha for approval. Samga Dosesa 8. Not to groundlessly accuse a bhikkhu of having committed a parajika. If a bhikkhu falsely accuses another of committing a parajika with the intention of ruining his reputation, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 9. Not to falsely claim a bhikkhu committed a parajika by accusing someone similar in appearance. If a bhikkhu attempts to make others believe that another bhikkhu committed a parajika by pointing to someone resembling him, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 10. Not to create a division within the Sangha. If a bhikkhu tries to disrupt harmony among the Sangha, he must be advised 3 times to stop. If he persists, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 11. Not to encourage a bhikkhu who works to divide the Sangha. Supporting a bhikkhu who causes division, even after being admonished 3 times, entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 12. Not to reject admonishments on behavior. If a bhikkhu refuses to follow Vinaya rules and ignores repeated admonitions, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. Samga Dosesa 13. Not to persist in bad habits despite correction. If a bhikkhu repeatedly engages in improper conduct and resists correction, it entails a meeting of the Sangha. These Samga Dosesas emphasize discipline and harmony within the monastic community. Next, the 2 Aniyatas. Aniyata 1. Not to be found alone with a single woman in a remote place that can arise suspicions about a sexual intercourse. A bhikkhu is found alone with a woman in a place remote from others' sight, where a sexual intercourse is possible, in a place hidden behind a wall, curtains, etc. They are seated together, being not in the presence of another woman or man who is able to understand. If a trustworthy person, seeing this bhikkhu, brings an accusation before the Sangha, whether it concerns a parajika, a Samga Dosesa or else a pachitya, the accused bhikkhu finds himself in the case of an undefined fault, and he is duty-bound to admit the fault that he has committed. Aniyatta 2. Not to be found alone with a woman in an isolated place that can arise suspicions about conversations on lustful subjects. A bhikkhu is found alone with a woman in an open place within the reach of others' sight, but from where one cannot hear what is being said, and about which one can imagine that the conversation bears a lustful character. They are seated together, without the presence of another woman or man able to understand. If a trustworthy person, seeing this bhikkhu and being in the position to suspect a Samgha Dissessa or a Pachittiya, brings an accusation before the Sangha, the accused bhikkhu finds himself in the case of an undefined fault, and he is duty-bound to admit the fault that he has committed. Next, the 30 Nissagiyas. The Nissagiyas are faults that entail the forfeiture of an object obtained in an incorrect manner. Each Nissagiya rule comes with a lot of detail, explanations, and exceptions, but for this video, we'll keep it simple and just go through them briefly. Nissagiya 1. Bhikkhus can't keep an extra robe for more than 10 days. If they have more than the basic 3 robes, they must give the extra one away within this time. Nissagiyya 2. Bhikkhus must always have at least one of their 3 robes with them overnight. They can't leave all 3 robes behind. Nissagiyya 3. If a bhikkhu receives fabric to make a robe, they must use it within 1 month. They can't store it longer than that. Nissagiyya 4. Bhikkhus can't ask a nun, who isn't a relative, to wash or dye their robe. This avoids unnecessary interactions. Nissagiyya 5. Bhikkhus can't accept a robe from a nun unless she's a family member. Nissagiyya 6. Bhikkhus can't ask non-relatives for robes. They should only accept robes that are offered voluntarily. Nissagiyya 7. If a bhikkhu loses their robes, they can only ask for 1 upper robe and 1 lower robe as replacements, no more than that. Nissagiyya 8. Bhikkhus can't pressure a donor who's saving up to offer a robe. They must wait until the donor is ready. Nissagiyya 9. Bhikkhus can't ask 2 different donors for high-quality robes if both are already saving up to offer one. Nissagiyya 10. Bhikkhus can't appoint their kapiya, the own personal assistant, or pressure someone who's helping them with supplies. Nissagiyya 11. Bhikkhus can't use carpets made with silk, as it's considered too luxurious. Nissagiyya 12. Bhikkhus can't use carpets made entirely of black sheep wool, as it's seen as too extravagant. Nissagiyya 13. Bhikkhus can't use carpets that are mostly black sheep wool with some white wool mixed in. Again, it's about avoiding luxury. Nissagiyya 14. Bhikkhus can't get a new carpet until their old one is at least 6 years old. Nissagiyya 15. If a bhikkhu makes a new carpet, they must include a piece of the old one to avoid waste. Nissagiyya 16. Bhikkhus can't carry wool with them for more than 3 days of travel. They must use it or give it away within that time. Nissagiyya 17. Bhikkhus can't ask others to prepare wool for a nun, as it could lead to unnecessary involvement. Nissagiyya 18. Bhikkhus are not allowed to handle or accept money in any form. Nissagiyya 19. Bhikkhus can't trade or exchange items to get money indirectly. Nisagia 20. Bickus can't engage in bartering or trading items. Nisagia 21. Bickus can't keep an extra alms bowl for more than 10 days. They must give it away if they don't need it. Nisagia 22. Bickus can't ask for a new bowl unless the current one has at least 5 cracks or is completely broken. Nisagia 23. Bickus can't store medicinal foods, like honey or butter, for more than 7 days. Nisagia 24. Bickus can't have a bathing robe made or dyed before the full moon. They must wait for the proper time. Nisagia 25. Once a bhikkhu gives away a robe, they can't take it back. Nisagia 26. Bickus can't have their robes custom woven. They must use what's offered. Nisagia 27. Bickus can't ask for a robe to be made larger or fancier than what the donor originally intended. Nisagia 28. Bickus can't keep extra robes beyond the allowed time, even if they were offered in an emergency. Nisagia 29. After the rainy season retreat, Vasa, if a bhikkhu is staying in a risky or unsafe area, they can't leave one of their 3 robes behind in a village for more than 6 nights. Nisagia 30. Bickus can't take something donated to the entire monastic community, Sangha, and use it for themselves. Donations meant for the Sangha must stay with the Sangha. Next, the 92 Pachitiyas. The 92 Pachitiyas are designed to guide bhikkhus in maintaining ethical conduct, mindfulness, and harmony within the monastic community. These Pachitiya rules are less severe than the Nisagia rules but still require confession and rectification when broken. Each Pachitiya rule comes with a lot of detail, explanations, and exceptions, but for this video, we'll keep it simple and just go through them briefly. Pachitiya 1. Not to lie. Pachitiya 2. Not to insult another bhikkhu. Pachitiya 3. Not to create disagreement between bhikkhus. Pachitiya 4. Not to recite together with laymen texts of Dharma in Pali. Pachitiya 5. Not to spend the night under the same roof as the laity. Pachitiya 6. Not to lie down in a building in where woman is present. Pachitiya 7. Not to teach to a woman more than 6 consecutive words of Dharma unless another man is present. Pachitiya 8. Not to boast about their spiritual achievements to lay people. Pachitiya 9. Not to denounce another bhikkhu's serious offenses to lay people. Pachitiya 10. Not to dig or cause someone else to dig the earth. Pachitiya 11. Not to destroy plants. Pachitiya 12. Not to change the conversation when the Sangha asks a question. Pachitiya 13. Not to blame or slander a bhikkhu. Pachitiya 14. Not to leave a mattress or a chair outside without arranging it back suitably. Pachitiya 15. Not to leave a couch that has been moved in the monastery. Pachitiya 16. Not to set a bhikkhu apart in order to make him leave. Pachitiya 17. Not to expel a bhikkhu from a lodging belonging to the Sangha. Pachitiya 18. Not to use unstable furniture that could cause harm. Pachitiya 19. Not to build a roof having more than 3 layers. Pachitiya 20. Not to harm living beings, even unintentionally, by pouring water carelessly. Pachitiya 21. Not to teach nuns without a permission taken from the Sangha. Pachitiya 22. Not to teach the Dharma to nuns after nightfall. Pachitiya 23. Not to proceed to a monastery of nuns in order to teach. Pachitiya 24. Not to falsely accuse another bhikkhu of teaching nuns for personal gain. Pachitiya 25. Not to give a robe to a nun. Pachitiya 26. Not to sew a robe for a nun. Pachitiya 27. Not to plan a trip with a nun. Pachitiya 28. Not to take a boat with a nun. Pachitiya 29. Not to eat food prepared by a nun. Pachitiya 30. Not to sit with a nun in a remote spot. Pachitiya 31. Not to eat at the same spot twice consecutively, food destined for traveling guests. Pachitiya 32. Not to eat food obtained through incorrect asking multiple times. Pachitiya 33. Not to go to accept multiple meal invitations on the same day. Pachitiya 34. Not to accept more than the equivalent of 3 bowls of pastries if they were not originally made for the bhikkhu. Pachitiya 35. To eat no longer once we have left our spot, after having made understood that we have finished our meal or refused to be served again. Pachitiya 36. Not to incite another bhikkhu to eat elsewhere after having made him understood that he has finished his meal or refused to be served again. Pachitiya 37. Not to consume solid foods between noon and the following dawn. Pachitiya 38. Not to store food at afternoon time. Pachitiya 39. Not to ask for food of superior quality for oneself. Pachitiya 40. Not to eat food which has not been offered and given in hands. Pachitiya 41. Not to give food to naked ascetics or other persons clinging to erroneous views. Pachitiya 42. During the alms collection round, not to exclude or dismiss another bhikkhu during alms collection. Pachitiya 43. Not to enter a house where a couple is engaged in intimate activity. Pachitiya 44. Not to remain alone with a woman in an isolated place. Pachitiya 45. Not to sit next to a woman in a place remote from others' ears. Pachitiya 46. Not to visit homes for food before or after receiving a meal invitation. Pachitiya 47. Not to ask for more medicine than what's been offered or needed. Pachitiya 48. Not to watch an army departing for combat. Pachitiya 49. Not to sleep with an armed troop for more than 3 consecutive nights. Pachitiya 50. Not to witness military activities. Pachitiya 51. Not to consume alcohol or other intoxicating substances. Pachitiya 52. Not to have playful or frivolous behavior like tickling. Pachitiya 53. Not to play in the water. Pachitiya 54. Not to lack respect to others, especially senior monks. Pachitiya 55. Not to frighten another bhikkhu. Pachitiya 56. Not to light fires or asking others to do so, as it could harm living beings. Pachitiya 57. Not to bathe more than twice a month unless necessary for cleanliness. Pachitiya 58. Not to utilize a robe without marking their robes with brown or black dye to distinguish them from lay clothing. Pachitiya 59. Not to wear a robe shared with another bhikkhu, a nun, or a novice, without the latter having pronounced in return the formula for sharing this robe. Pachitiya 60. Not to hide another bhikkhu's belongings. Pachitiya 61. Not to kill animals. Pachitiya 62. Not to use water containing living beings. Pachitiya 63. Not to reopen or stir up issues that have already been resolved. Pachitiya 64. Not to conceal a parajika or a samga decessor. Pachitiya 65. Not to integrate a person under 20 years of age into the sangha. Pachitiya 66. Not to travel with robbers. Pachitiya 67. Not to make a trip with a woman after having planned it with her. Pachitiya 68. Not to claim that the hindrances, to jhanas, to nibbana, taught by Buddha are not hindrances. Pachitiya 69. Not to associate with a monk who has been expelled from the community. Pachitiya 70. Not to associate with a novice monk, samanera, who holds wrong views. Pachitiya 71. Not to make excuses to ignore the rules of the Patimokkha. Pachitiya 72. Not to disrespect or belittle the rules of the Patimokkha. Pachitiya 73. Not to pretend not to know a rule of conduct. Pachitiya 74. Not to hit another monk. Pachitiya 75. Not to threaten another monk by pretending to hit them. Pachitiya 76. Not to falsely accuse another monk of a serious offense, samga decessor. Pachitiya 77. Not to cause another monk to feel doubt, regret, or distress. Pachitiya 78. Not to eavesdrop on a disagreement between monks. Pachitiya 79. Not to challenge a decision after agreeing to it. Pachitiya 80. Not to skip a sangha meeting without giving prior consent. Pachitiya 81. Not to accuse a monk of unfairly assigning a communal robe. Pachitiya 82. Not to redirect a gift meant for the sangha to someone else. Pachitiya 83. Not to enter the king's private quarters without permission. Pachitiya 84. Not to store valuable items outside the monastery or one's living area. Pachitiya 85. Not to enter a town or village after noon without informing another monk. Pachitiya 86. Not to make or use a needle box made of ivory, bone, or horn. Pachitiya 87. Not to use beds or benches taller than 65 centimeters. Pachitiya 88. Not to use mattresses or cushions stuffed with cotton or kapok. Pachitiya 89. Not to use a sitting cloth larger than 2.2 meters by 1.72 meters, with a border wider than 1.15 meters. Pachitiya 90. Not to make or use a bandage robe larger than 4.5 meters by 2.2 meters. Pachitiya 91. Not to make or use a rain robe larger than 6.5 meters by 2.7 meters. Pachitiya 92. Not to make or use a robe larger than 10 meters by 6.5 meters. Next, the 4 Pati Desaniyas. The 4 Pati Desaniya offenses are faults that require oral confession. Among the 5 types of faults that can be purified using the Dasana formula, a Pati Desaniya offense must be confessed separately by verbally declaring it in the presence of at least 4 bhikkhus. Each Pati Desaniya rule comes with a lot of detail, explanations, and exceptions, but for this video, we'll keep it simple and just go through them briefly. Pati Desaniya 1. Not to accept food from a nun. Pati Desaniya 2. Not to send away nuns who are serving food while monks are eating. Pati Desaniya 3. Not to accept food from poor but devoted laypeople unless they've specifically invited you. Pati Desaniya 4. Not to eat food offered by donors without first warning them of any dangers in or around the monastery. Next, the 75 dukkhatas. These rules focus on mindfulness, respect, and proper conduct in daily activities, from wearing robes to eating, teaching Dharma, and even personal hygiene. They help monks maintain a disciplined and ethical lifestyle while fostering harmony with others and the environment. 1. To wear the lower robe correctly wrapped around oneself, so as to leave the edges even. 2. To wear the upper robe correctly wrapped around oneself, so as to leave the edges even. 3. To close the robe up to the neck and down to the wrists when proceeding within inhabited areas. 4. To close the robe up to the neck and down to the wrists when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 5. To behave decently when proceeding among inhabited areas. 6. To behave decently when being motionless or remaining seated among inhabited areas. 7. To maintain the eyes always gazing downward when proceeding within inhabited areas. 8. To keep the eyes always lowered when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 9. Not to lift the robes when proceeding within inhabited areas. 10. Not to lift one's robe when remaining motionless or being seated within inhabited areas. 11. Not to laugh loudly when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 12. Not to laugh loudly when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 13. To speak only in a low voice when sitting in inhabited areas. 14. To speak only in a low voice when going to inhabited areas. 15. Not to swing the body when sitting in inhabited areas. 16. Not to swing the body when proceeding to inhabited areas. 17. Not to swing the arms when sitting in inhabited areas. 18. Not to swing the arms when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 19. Not to swing the head when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 20. Not to swing the head when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 21. Not to place the hands on the hips when remaining within inhabited areas. 22. Not to place the hands on the hips when being motionless or remaining seated within inhabited areas. 23. Not to cover the head when proceeding within inhabited areas. 24. Not to cover the head when going to inhabited areas. 26. Not to sit with the knees raised and the arms wrapped around the legs when in inhabited areas. 27. To adopt a respectful attitude while accepting food. 28. Focusing one's attention on the bowl while accepting to collect food. 29. Not to accept green beans or peas in disproportionate quantity to the quantity of rice accepted when going to collect food. 30. Accepting food in proportion to the bowl. 31. Taking care in adopting a respectful attitude when eating. 32. When eating, focus the attention on the bowl. 33. Eating the foods one after the other, without rejecting any. 34. Mix up the curry in right proportion with the quantity of rice. 35. Not to take and eat food placed at the top of a heap of food, or flatten down a heap of food. 36. Not to hide curry by means of rice, hoping to obtain a lot. 37. Not to eat food requested for oneself if one is not sick. 38. Not to look at someone else's bowl aiming at expressing criticism. 39. Not to prepare enormous mouthfuls or spoonfuls. 40. Not to prepare too long mouthfuls or spoonfuls. 41. Not to open the mouth before the food reaches its level. 42. Not to put the hand into the mouth. 43. Not to speak with a full mouth. 44. Not to throw pieces of food into the mouth. 45. Not to eat while cutting morsels of food with the mouth. 46. Not to fill the mouth with food so that the cheeks are inflated. 47. Not to agitate the hands when eating. 48. Not to scatter the rice when eating. 49. Not to let the tongue out when eating. 50. Not to make noise in opening the mouth when eating. 51. Not to make noise, slurp, when absorbing a fluid food item or liquid. 52. Not to lick one's hand. 53. Not to scratch the inside of one's bowl or one's plate when eating. 54. Not to lick the lips when eating. 55. Not to hold a vessel of water with a dirty hand. 56. Not to throw bowls, washing up water containing rice in an inhabited area. 57. Not to teach the Dharma to someone holding an umbrella, unless he is ill. 58. Not to teach the Dharma to someone holding a stick, walking stick, etc., measuring at least 4 cubits in length, unless he is ill. 59. Not to teach the Dharma to someone holding a knife, any cutting object, unless he is ill. 60. Not to teach the Dharma to someone holding a weapon, unless he is ill. 61. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is wearing shoes, unless he is ill. 62. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is wearing sandals, unless he is ill. 63. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is inside a vehicle, unless he is ill. 64. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is lying down, even if sitting on the ground close to him or her, unless he is ill. 65. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is sitting with the knees raised and the arms or clothes around, unless he is ill. 66. Not to teach the Dharma to someone wearing a turban, unless he is ill. 67. Not to teach the Dharma to someone whose head is covered, unless he is ill. 68. not to teach the Dharma to someone who sits on something while sitting directly on the ground, unless he is ill. 69. Not to teach the Dharma to someone sitting at a high level, unless he is ill. 70. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is sitting while one is standing, unless he is ill. 71. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who is walking ahead, unless he is ill. 72. Not to teach the Dharma to someone who walks on a footpath while one is walking to the side of this footpath, unless he is ill. 73. Not to defecate or urinate when standing up, unless required on medical grounds. 74. Not to defecate, urinate, or spit on some green vegetation, unless a medical reason prevents doing otherwise. 75. Not to defecate, urinate, or spit in clean water, unless a medical reason prevents doing otherwise. While these rules are primarily for bhikkhus, their essence, discipline, restraint, and mindfulness can also support serious meditators and recluses who are truly dedicated to the path of wisdom. For those who seek genuine progress in the spiritual life, living with integrity and simplicity is essential. May this serve as inspiration for those walking the path of Dharma.